Alright, so I'm kind of going back and forth between the, videotaping myself talking to you and just talking over the music itself. I haven't decided which one I like better yet, so I'm just going to do a little bit of both. Right now, I'm definitely still in the A's. I'm going to split up these videos so they're not too much. So right now I just finished everything up to Aerosmith and moving on into other things. Right this second, listening to this one, Alien Sex Fiend. The name of this album is Acid Bath. This is some crazy industrial stuff. It's good, but it's industrial. I like it. It's different. It's a little more, a little faster, a little heavier than some of the more droney stuff, which I like. So today I started earlier with this one. Yes, the Great Air Supply and their greatest hits. I actually had the chance to see Air Supply while I was in Brazil a few years ago, and I gotta say, yeah, it's Air Supply. We know what we're getting into. It's cheesy. You know every song, at least on this greatest hits, because if you grew up, at least when I did, in the 70s and 80s, you definitely know your Air Supply.
I realize the best part of love. I'm lying alone with my head on the phone. Girl, you're every woman in the world to me. Here I am, the one that you love. Even the nights are better. Making love out of nothing at all.
And I gotta say, when I saw them, they were amazing. I mean, maybe amazing isn't the right word because it's still Air Supply, but they were a lot of fun, and you knew every song, and the two guys sounded just like they used to. I was very impressed, very impressed. Speaking of something that impressed me when I was much younger, saw them at the Wisconsin State Fair. I want to say circa 83, 84. This one, Alabama. This is the Mountain Music album, which is actually the only song I remember from that actual show. I went with my cousins and my aunt because nobody in my immediate family was into country at that time. My sister's into it nowadays. Kind of. She's more into the modern stuff. But I gotta say, they were good from what I remember. I mean, I was a kid, but this song is the only one I remember is the song Mountain Music, which is a fun song.
Oh, play me some mountain music like Grandma and Grandpa used to play. Then I'll float on down the river to Cajun Hideaway.
This album, some good stuff on there, and some stuff that was a little questionable. The one, what was the one? You Turn Me On. Him trying to be all sexy like, oh, baby, you turn me on. You know you turn me on. Come turn me on. Like, it's a little bit much. After that, I got into some Alice in Chains. This one, courtesy of my friend Kyle. He had 2 copies of this, so he was kind enough to give me his opened copy. This is a 4-song EP, Angry Chair.
Sitting on an angry chair, angry walls that still here, stomach hurts and I don't care. What do I see cross away?
Also has I Know Something, and then 2 live versions of It Ain't Like That and Bleed the Freak. Speaking of live, my other Alice in Chains is this one, which I picked up a couple weeks ago at Records, which I don't know if I'm really that big of a fan of Records. I thought they were cool the first time I went, and the second time, I don't know if I can go back a third time, honestly. Their prices are a bit much, and every one of their albums they have stacked like this. I mean, granted, it's the right side up, but when you go to pick it up, boom, it falls out. Who the hell puts a plastic cover on upside down? Every time you try to grab something, it falls off. Like, it is the dumbest thing. She's like, well, in case it has water leaking, then it's protected. I'm like, no, it's not, because then it would go into the bottom of the actual shelf and make it worse. But hey, I'm not the one that runs that record store. And, yeah. So, Alien Sex Fiend coming up. One of my personal favorites coming up next. I actually prefer the stuff that he's done with his band opposed to his solo stuff, although it's very, very similar, so it's pretty much no division there. So we'll get into that in a minute. Let's finish out this Alien Sex Fiend. alien sex fiends to straight up aliens. That's pretty much what we just did, because if there's anybody that I've ever known, with the exception of maybe Les Claypool, that I think was probably an alien, it's Mr. Daevid Allen. This dude, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Daevid Allen. He was, of course, the singer and guitarist and principal songwriter for a band called Gong, until his passing about 5 years ago now, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago. I was lucky enough to see Gong a few times. I'm actually friends with the most recent guitarist. Well, actually, I guess there was a guitarist after him, but Fabio Goffetti, and so I was lucky enough when I lived in Brazil to see Gong a few times. But Daevid Allen is a pure genius, man. The stuff that he does is just amazing. And these are the 3 Daevid Allen ones that I have. The non-Gong related, not including New York Gong, which is anything that he does is all kind of very similar. It's psychedelic, it's progressive, it's groovy, and it's definitely out of this world. And I miss David greatly, but I'm really lucky I got to meet him a couple times and see him a couple times. So yeah, let's get into some Daevid Allen. Like I said, alien.
To let the rose to find them everywhere.
Just finished the 3 Daevid Allen albums, and Banana Moon and this one are both typical Daevid Allen type stuff. They're just exactly what you would expect, old school type stuff, you know, like I said, progressive, prog type, psychedelic, space rock. But this one's a little more on the edge for me. It's still cool, but there's a lot of, you know, beat in it. Like, I don't want to say it's like techno or even... It's a little more electronic than I would want it to be, but it's kind of him branching out and experimenting at that point in time, which I give him mad props for doing, but it's not one that it would be, you know, a go-to album, like, for me, of his catalog. But interesting, different. I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, like, I don't know, electronic space rock, or something like that. Anyways, take a break. Next time I see you, we will be getting into the Allman Brothers, so looking forward to that. Get yourself a bowl and get ready to get groovy. All right, see you next time. Electric Lounge, I'm out.